Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon here, and then I'll post it up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. And I would like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They will set you up with a therapist in your state online, which means you can do it from anywhere. You can do it from your car, a park, a coffee shop, whatever. Just make sure you know who's around you and that you're wearing your headphones so that you have privacy. Recognize that you got to be careful when you're doing that. So betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. They are international. So if you are in a different country and you want to get with an American therapist, they can set you up. So you just go in, fill out a few questionnaire things, and they'll set you up with somebody. If you don't like your therapist, say, hey, I don't like them, and fill out another questionnaire, and they'll set you up with somebody else. And I've gotten some really good feedback, which made me so happy. So anyway, there is that, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. And I'll put that down in the, or John will put that down in the description. So there that is. Please tell me I grabbed my books. I did. Oh, yes, I did, but I threw them on the ground. Oh, of course I did. So, hi. So people have been asking about my new book. So you want to be a therapist. It is coming out hopefully this month. I've been talking to Andy Brennitz, who is my guy who does all this, and he's working on it. He's getting the cover art and everything together. I thought it was going to be released earlier, but apparently there was a little delay on that. So it will be coming out sometime this month. If not this month, then definitely next month. And I will strongly suggest he put it out sooner rather than later. So there that is. So anyway, so you want to be a therapist. That's basically, it's about, if you want to be a therapist, I give you the skinny on what it's like to be a therapist. All the things that I have put up with these many years. Hi guys. Thank you. So, all right. So books. So here's my book, What's Wrong with Your Dad, which is about me growing up in a crazy dysfunctional family. My dad was an opiate addict. He was an alcoholic. He was definitely personality disordered. So anyway, that's my journey, how I got from point A to point wherever the heck this is right now. So there is that. Also, where did my other book go? I have no idea where my other book goes. Yeah, not organized today. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them cha-cha, which is about why people get into abuse, and some people stay, some people are able to get out. So there is that. And then there is You're Still That Girl. So this is a great book. This is by Susanna Quintana. You can get this book at SusannaQuintana.com. She's awesome. She is an abuse recovery expert. She can go across state lines. So she is a good person to help if you're needing to deal with a crazy ex, you're in a custody battle, you're having to deal with, all of the novels that they send in either email or text. She will help you figure out what you answer and what you don't answer, which I think is really important because we get hooked into answering a lot of these emails that we really, truly shouldn't. Shahida Arabi's book, Highly Sensitive Person's Guide to Dealing with Toxic People. I love this book. I love her. I love all her memes. I love her website. I love her. She's awesome. She's awesome. She's a bomb. I love her. Get her book because it's awesome. And it's got journal entries for how to do, journaling about this stuff. So the Highly Sensitive Person's Guide to Dealing with Toxic People. So that's a great book. And if you are in the middle of a divorce, I kid you not, read this book, Splitting, Bill Eddy, Randy Krieger. Why? Because they're going to do every single rotten thing that we have been talking about for the last, dear Lord, how many years? So, excuse me. So Splitting, Bill Eddy, Randy Krieger. If you're in a divorce, if you're thinking about getting divorced from one of these types, you're going to need this book. So, all right. So, excuse me, let me grab some water. It's, it's a nice sunny day out finally. And all of the little pollen is just going, hey, and I'm like, so anyway, hold on. Also, this lovely mug is now available on eBay. Dun, dun, dun. So just look for We Need to Talk with Chris Godinez, and this mug is on eBay. So I will ship it to you. All right, there is that. All right, my goodness. All right. So lies that they tell to keep us stuck. Oh, so many. If their lips are moving, they are lying. Let's just be clear about that, unfortunately. So basically, the first lie they start with is the I love you lie. The love bombing, the love bombing, the love bombing. This mirroring is a lie. And it's hard for us to see because when we come in contact with one of these abusers, they mirror us perfectly, perfectly. And we're coming up on Valentine's Day. So we're coming into the heaviest part of the hoovering season. I mean, Christmas was pretty heavy, but we're coming into another heavy part of the hoovering season. So I want to talk next week about behaviors to watch out for. So because this time of year, they're either looking for new supply or they are going back to old supply and lying to get the old supply, or they're lying to get the new supply, if that makes any sort of sense. So basically, if their lips are moving, they're lying. So the first lie they tell us is the love bombing. So when they're on the hunt for a new supply, they figure out everything that we like. So when something to be really careful of is when you're dating, and especially, God, please don't go on dating websites. They are filled with predators, filled. And I keep telling people this, and then I keep getting comments back going, oh my God, I just met another narcissist on this website. I can't believe it. And I'm like, please go off of those websites. You're not going to meet well, you might, but it would be a rarity. It would be like, 1 in a million. It is filled with predators because they can pretend to be whoever they want to be on the online sites. The best way to meet somebody, honest to God, first of all, you work on yourself. I know I'm going off on a tangent. Sorry, I'll get back to the topic. First, you want to work on yourself and get your self-esteem rock solid, know who the heck you are, and then you go do the things you love. And that is where you're going to meet like-minded people. If you're specifically looking for a partner or dating or things like that, you're going to find predators. Go do the things you love. Work on your self-esteem, get your self-esteem rock solid, know who the heck you are, and then go off and do that. Why? Because back to the lies they tell. So to hook us, they start asking all sorts of questions, and they're pumping us for information and we don't even realize it. We think that, it's just the normal, they're asking, what I like, what I don't like. It's the normal dating thing. It's the normal getting to know you kind of thing. But if you'll notice, they're pumping you for information. They give up very, very few bits of information about themselves. They don't really talk about themselves. They're trying to figure out who you are, what you're about, and then they start doing the Prince Han, Princess Anna Frozen thing. Oh, you like moose? I like moose. You like to ice skate? I like to ice skate. You like pizza? I like pizza. The whole everything you like, they like kind of thing. Mirroring. So they're mirroring you. So that's the first lie. Okay. Then as the time goes on, it's like some of them, and especially if they're closer to the dark triad end of the spectrum, they just lie to see if they can get the frick away with it. That's really their kind of, it's a game to them. And with others, they lie because they are serial cheaters. And I want to talk about that as well. So somebody asked me, why do they need a harem? Okay. So if they are narcissistic, more than likely they are cheaters. And more than likely, you're not the only one. And more than likely, they've got a whole bunch of harem out there. Male, female, doesn't matter. They need narcissistic supply like we need oxygen. Okay. So what a narcissist does, and especially the more psychopathic they are, they need a harem. They need that constant, who can I call on? Who can I get the supply from? Who can I get this from? Who can I get that from? So they romance or woo multiple partners without telling any of these partners. Now, there's a difference between polyamorous and cheating. Polyamorous is where everybody is on board. Everybody knows about everybody else. Everybody is on the same page. Everybody understands that this is a polyamorous relationship. With a narcissist, they go out and they get different people, but they don't tell any of the other ones, and they tell each one of them, you're the only one. I know. So, and another thing they like to do, and this is something that somebody had asked me about online. They were like, can you talk more about double affairs? So a double affair is when the narcissist is married, the target is married, and they start going after the target who's married, but they're married. So a double affair, it's in the Urban Dictionary. The double affair is when both parties are married, but there's an affair going on. Now, why would a narcissist do that? OMG, can you say supply? Like nobody's business? Remember, they are all ego. There is not a shred of decency about this person whatsoever. They don't care about anybody except themselves. Me, I, more my genitals. That really is the way they think. So when they're doing a double affair, it is a double, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, it's double nose candy for them, to be able to get the target of abuse away from an established relationship. It's like cocaña for them, seriously. So they love it because it's exciting. And oh, look, I was able to take them out of this relationship and da 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 da. So it's a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's an ego thing. It is a power and control thing. Look how powerful I am. Look how brilliant I am. Look how smart I am. Look how handsome or beautiful I am. Look how, whatever their thing is, I was able to do this. Now, the thing of it is that they're not just doing this to one married person. They probably have multiple that none of them know about. And something else I have gotten questions about is, okay, I've discovered that they have multiple partners. They're married. I'm married. They've ruined my marriage. Should I talk to the wife? I wouldn't. I mean, some clients have done that and it did turn out okay. The wife was willing to confront the abuser and leave them and, basically let them get their just desserts. But a lot of times it doesn't turn out okay. And the reason for that is because if the person is as disordered as the narcissist is, and sometimes that happens, either they're disordered or they're deep in denial and they don't want to deal with it and they want to believe that the person is a good person, they're not going to believe you. And then that creates the drama triangle where you have the hero, the villain, and the victim. You're the villain, the spouse is the victim, the narcissist is the hero. So you don't even want to entertain that. Now, if the spouse comes to you and wants to know stuff, leave it up to your discretion. What good is it going to do? If it's going to do good, great, do it. If it's going to harm you in any way, shape, or form, or if they're going to turn around and use it against you in any way, shape, or form, don't do it. So yeah, so that's a double affair, is when the narcissist who's married goes after a married target. And they generally have more than one married target that they're going after. It's this weird, how do I explain this? It's this weird thing of juggling. How many can I keep going? How many can I keep going? How long can I keep this lie going? And what they tell each target of abuse is, oh, baby, you're the only one. Oh, I'm in this horrible relationship and my spouse is just an awful person and this, that, and the other thing. And it turns out generally that the spouse is not an awful person, that the narcissist is telling the newest target this in order to get them to feel sympathy for them, in order to get them to feel sorry for them, in order to get them on their side, et cetera, et cetera. And they're not just doing it to the one target, they're doing it to every single target that they're telling them how horrible the spouse is or how horrible this other person is. Generally, they don't let them know that they're dating other people. They try to make each spouse or each target think that they're the only one. But they generally villainize the spouse that they're currently with, because villain, victim, hero, they need that triangle. Hold on. So they will keep people strung along for years, decades in some cases, because what they will do is they will say things like, oh, well, I can't leave him right now. The kids and the financial and, she would just clean me out and I can't do it. And, blah, 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 blah. That whole, that whole thing. If their lips are moving, they're lying. The other thing they'll say is, oh, well, I'm going to divorce him. I'm going to divorce him. It's going to happen. Decades go by. I'm going to divorce him. It's going to happen. And then it never does, because they don't want to lose the supply and they enjoy the harem. They enjoy. And remember, this is not just male narcissist, female targets. This can be female narcissist male targets. They do the same thing. It doesn't matter. Male, female, doesn't matter. They do the same thing. So they will target, and they will keep them all stringing along. Oh, yeah, I'm going to leave him. Oh, yeah, this is going to happen. Oh, yeah, well, I can't do it right now. I just don't have the money. Oh, it's not safe right now. They come up with 100,000 million different excuses. And so what is so frustrating is when I deal with clients that are going through this, I tell them point blank, break up with them. Break up with them. They're not ever going to leave that spouse. They're not. This is a game, and you are the favorite punching bag right now, for Narcissistic Supply, because they get their jollies off on telling you, oh, yeah, I'm going to leave this person. Meanwhile, they never do. And you keep coming back and you keep hoping that this person is going to live up to all of these lies that they've told you. Oh, yeah, when we're together, future faking. When we're together, it's going to be fabulous. We'll move to Maui. It'll be great. We'll start over. It'll be a fresh, clean slate. We'll, da 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 da. It'll be great. You and I will go travel. We'll go do this. We'll go do that. And they don't mean any of it. They're not about to leave their spouse. No way in hell. And especially if they are in a communal narcissist position, like pillar of the community, they're not going to divorce their spouse. They want everyone to think that that little family unit is perfect and has absolutely no cracks in it whatsoever. So they do future faking. It's going to be great when I finally leave my spouse and you and I will be together and we'll do. It never happens. It never happens. They are never willingly going to divorce that person because they enjoy the drama that's coming from all the different supplies. And B, if they're a communal narcissist, they want the prestige of everybody thinking that they've got this perfect little family unit. If they get divorced, there goes that thing. So there was an article that I really liked on Elephant Journal, and it was called How to Move On Without Closure and Healing from Fantasy Bonds. And let's see who wrote this. Let's see if I can find Naomi de Gasperis. It's a really good article. So, and it's on Elephant Journal. And I know they do ads where they're like, please pay, please help us. You don't have to, but I love Elephant Journal, so I subscribe to them. Breakups are painful. There's no quick way through the heartache, basically. And then, they go through like the narratives. What do we tell ourselves about this? So fantasy bonds. And this is what abusers get us to buy into, is the fantasy bond. Trauma bonding? Yes, they absolutely do the intermittent positive rewards with us. Absolutely, in one of these situations. But they also do the future faking, which is a fantasy bond. So let's talk about that. Fantasy bonds. In fantasy bonds, closure is nearly impossible because the attachment was to a version of the person, not the actual person. How many times have I said that? When we fall for them, when they do the love bombing, love bomb, love bomb, love bomb. You love pizza, I love pizza. You love moose, I love moose. You love ice skating, I love ice skating. They create this fantasy. Oh, baby, I'm going to leave them and we're going to have this great, romantic, exciting, adventurous life together. Future faking, right? And so we start buying into the fantasy that they are selling. This is psychopathy. This really is. This is dark triad. So they get us buying into that fantasy. It's a pattern of falling in love with potential. How many times have we gotten involved with a narcissist in the past and we fell in love with their potential? But they're so smart, but they're so funny, but they're so this, they're so that. They have the potential. Well, no, here's the deal. They have the ability to mimic, like Predator. Did you guys remember that movie Predator, where Predator would, mimic? And yeah, that's them. So they mimic. That's not really them. They are doing behavior that they see that you like in the beginning. They mimic it. They're mimicking. They're basically mirroring you back to you, and you start thinking, "Oh my gosh, that's them. This is great." somebody who gets me, somebody who understands, somebody who loves me, somebody who, has the same moral code, somebody who, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it turns out they don't. They're just mimicking. And once the supply goes away, the mimicking goes away and the real them comes roaring out. And they're not funny. They're not smart. They're not kind. They're not any of the good qualities that you are. Remember, they try to take over the target. They try to mimic the target as best they can because they want those qualities. They want to be known as loving and kind and funny and this and that. And the other thing, but the reality of it is they simply do not. They cannot. They do not feel the way we do. And that is heartbreaking because we have fallen in love with the potential, the fantasy of overlooking present unmet needs for the possibility of future needs being met, future faking. We hope that somehow this person will become more aware, more kind, more attentive. The lack of affection, unreturned calls, and broken promises get smoothed over and rationalized away with this imaginative narrative. So this is the thing that every survivor of abuse must do when leaving one of these abusive relationships. You have to write down every rotten thing they ever did, every way that they lied, every untruth, every half-truth, every omission, every way that they harmed you, every way that they hurt you. Stop making excuses for their sorry hind end. And this is what I see happening over and over and over again especially with survivors that are coming out of initially the very first, recognizing, realizing, getting out of. They start making excuses for the abuser because they've done it for decades. You got to stop making excuses for them. There is no excuse. There is no excuse. And something that I heard somebody say the other day, and I just wanted to throat punch them. They were like, oh, but hurt people, go blow it out of your nose. No, I'm sorry. How many of us came from really, really, really awful families? Hello? Hurt people do not hurt people. Psychopaths hurt people. Narcissists hurt people. People at the end of the spectrum hurt people. That's who does that. Okay. So no, it's not, oh, poor them, they had a rough life. See, that's another lie that they tell. Oh, I had this horrible childhood. Okay, well, join the frickin' club. You don't see the rest of us acting like a bunch of buffoons. Thank you very much. It's like they tell this sob story. I had this horrible childhood. This is the reason why. Name whatever BS that they're lying about, So again, sex, a lot of times they'll use sex and they'll lie about sex. So in the beginning, they're like crazy sexual, and then they get their hooks into you and the sex dries up. Oh, well, it's my childhood. Oh, well, it's this. Oh, well, fine. Go to therapy. And they never do because they don't want to fix it. And it probably is not the real issue. So yeah, they use all sorts of BS to keep us hooked. The lack of affection, the unreturned calls, the broken promises get smoothed, rationalized away with an imaginatory narrative. So you cannot give yourself an a fake narrative. What is really right here in front of you? What are they doing? How are they harming you? That is reality. That's the real them. And that is so hard for targets of abuse to wrap their heads around, is that this person who came across as Prince or Princess Charming was an illusion, a mirage that disappears as soon as you get close to it. Ooh, that's a good analogy. Yeah, it's a mirage that disappears as soon as you get close to it. Poof, gone, not there. And the real them is the one that goes and wants to harm, hurt, take over, demoralize, devalue, discard, and keep looking for other targets of abuse because they need a harem to keep that ginormous ego going. So they're literally, how do I explain this? If they don't have somebody feeding their ego, they, in their minds, pretty much cease to exist. And that's a terrifying thought for them. And that's why they're so vicious about what they do. And, instead of turning inwards and going, kill the ego, who am I really? What is my place in the universe? What's my purpose? How can I help mankind? That kind of thing. It's all feed the ego, feed the ego, feed the ego, feed the ego. Use as many people as you can, feed the ego. Evil, basically, if you want my personal opinion. So, okay, back to this article, how to move on without closure. We end up giving more chances and more leeway because our thoughts stay stuck on the fantasy bond and the kind of toxic hope that sounds like, well, maybe they just don't get it. Maybe they're in a bad place. If I could help them understand, if we could work through this, it would be so great. Maybe we need more time, more communication, more sex, more vacations. If they realize what's happening and how it makes me feel, how good we could be, and then everything will get better. But it never happens, guys, ever. They don't care. They don't. I mean, I'm sorry, but listen, it's like if you're in a healthy relationship, a healthy one, and if there is a communication issue, you bring it up to your partner, and the partner will more than likely go, hey, I need to work on that. Let me go either buy some books or let me go get with a therapist and figure out where this hiccup is coming from. There's no fear and there's no ego involved. With a narcissist, if you ask them to go get therapy, they come unglued. I don't like therapists. They're a bunch of frauds. They're fake. They're this. I'm not going. There's nothing wrong with me. That was my father's favorite thing. And I'm just like, oh, I think a whole town of Gridley could tell you what's wrong with you, daddy dearest, but okay. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, they're crazy. They're crazy. And they don't want to go get help because they know intrinsically that there is something wrong with them. And they just don't want the confirmation. Because remember, they think they're God. So if somebody comes along and goes, by the way, you're not, that kind of blows their whole ego thing. So we've got to get out of that fantasy. If only, not if only. What is that they have kept you away from family and friends. They've isolated you. They have called you names. They have put you down. They have made you give up your job. They have fill in the blank. What else have they done? Have they killed the pets? Have they harmed one of your kids? Have they, what is, not what if, what is? And that's why you write this out. That's why you keep a list of every rotten thing that they have ever done. That is the real them, not this beautiful fantasy of future faking. Oh, it'll be so wonderful. We'll be great. We'll be this, we'll be that. No, that's not real. Okay. When the desired outcome doesn't happen, the fantasy of the relationship comes to a crashing halt. And that can take days, weeks, months, years, decades. It depends on how much in denial we are. And it depends on the family of origin. Like if we had a family of origin that sold us a bill of goods, it's going to take a little while for us to undo all of that and realize, okay, here's unhealthy behavior, here's healthy behavior, which is why getting into therapy is a really good idea if your family of origin was disordered. Because if your family of origin is disordered, it's going to make you more susceptible to another disordered person that's an abuser that's going to sell you a bill of goods. You need to be able to discern truth from fantasy. So it's really important because how many families of origin do this magic thinking stuff? A lot. How many abusers do the magic thinking stuff? All of them. So it's really important for us to figure out what is real, what is not real. And unfortunately, what is real is not this beautiful illusion of, Prince or Princess Charming. The real them is when the mask slips and the claws come out. That's the real them. People who are healthy, have good self-esteem and good boundaries. They are very conscientious about not harming somebody. And if we do harm someone, we take steps to make amends and make it right. And we own it, Whereas with a narcissist, there is never the word I am sorry in any sentence. It's always I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, you. Oh, let's talk about the other lies they do. The you guns. You did this, you did that. You're the reason I can't retire. You're the reason we have no money. You're the reason If their lips are moving, they're lying. What they love to do is they love to get into a relationship and then they bankrupt the person. They do. Not you, they do. And so but they flip the script and suddenly you're bankrupting them because you went out and bought yourself, I don't know, new pair of tennis shoes or something. They're crazy, crazy. There is no there. So, okay, back to this thing, and then we'll get to the questions, I promise. Okay. Okay, experiencing a deep connection with somebody who then pulls a switch, deeply destabilizing. So that's what they do. It's like everything is great, and then that clock, the abuse clock. So you love bombing at noon, and then at about 3, things start getting a little wonky, and then by 6, the devalue and discard, the abuse starts happening, and then by about 9, they're realizing, okay, I've pushed this too far. I'm going to lose this supply, and then the love bombing starts all over again. So, yeah, they get us to buy into the future faking. And that's dangerous because how many of us wanted to believe, oh, it's going to be beautiful. We're going to go on all these great trips. We're going to have this wonderful life. We're going to, that kind of thing. And then not so much. Okay. So, okay. All right. So anyway, I don't want to go through the whole article, but I just thought that part about the fantasy bond, and it's so true. They get us with the fantasy bond. And moving on without closure. Once people are in a better place, many people come to realize that their connection was a fantasy bond. And that's really hard. And this is according to psychologist Robert W. Firestone, PhD, author of The Fantasy Bond. Go get it, read it. Creating a fantasy of connection is one of the ways that children cope with their unmet needs. Inner Child Workbook, Catherine Taylor. In absence of a secure attachment, a kid imagines that if only mom didn't have to work so hard, she'd be more patient and less angry. If only daddy was around more, we wouldn't feel so lonely or scared. If we had more money, the family would be relaxed and things would be different. So it's the if only. It's not true. It's if only. It's a kid way of thinking about it. So this is why I say work on the Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor, or any Inner Child workbook. Just start working on it. So this lies that they tell us that keep us stuck are, I love you. Number one, they don't love their behavior. So when somebody says, I love you, damn straight, actions and words had better damn well match, period. None of this, I love you, but I'm going to call you names. I love you, but I'm going to cheat on you. I love you, but, and none of the you guns. That's all lies as well. And if they are doing the double affair thing, trying to get you to leave your spouse, oh, I'm so much better than your spouse, or I'm in such a horrible place and only you can save me. Red flag on the play, 10 yards, it's like, you don't want to do that. And they tell lies once they get you. Oh, I'm going to divorce them. Oh, it'll happen. Oh, well, I can't do it right now. Don't have the money, or wait until the kids are grown, or, and they do this future faking thing. So you've got to watch out for all of this stuff. These are all ways that they keep us stuck. The intermittent positive rewards. That's another way that they lie to us. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. Well, yeah, they do hate us, but it's not because of us. It's because of them. I love you. I love you. I love you. Okay, they don't, because you don't hate somebody that you love. You don't call somebody names that you love. You don't harm somebody that you love. You don't sabotage somebody that you love. You don't cheat on somebody that you love. You don't do those things to somebody that you love. And if there are issues going on in the relationship, you get that stuff handled. And if it can't be handled, you end it. Then you go out and look for somebody else. Okay. And this is the thing that gets people stuck, because it kind of makes the fantasy come crashing down and the reality of it come up. It's like, well, no, you need to finish out this relationship over here before you even pursue this relationship over here to see if it's even real, and usually that's when the whole thing starts falling down and people have this awakening that's very painful. Yeah, this is the multiple ways that they lie to keep us stuck. So actions and words have to match. It just, they do. And if somebody is pursuing you and you're in a relationship, you kind of got to ask yourself, what's this about? What's going on? What's the agenda? What's happening? And it's really this, remember, when we're in a family of origin, we have a tendency to take other at their word because we've been trained that way. No, you don't see the pink elephant taking a doo-doo in the corner of the living room. And if you do, I'm going to punish you for it. So then pretty soon we go, oh, yep, not paying attention to my gut instincts. Nope, I don't see the pink elephant. Oh, I'm just going to take them at their word. Dangerous. That's how we get hooked by these suckers. This is how we get harmed by them. So it's these are the lies they tell. The fantasy bond. Is this based in reality or is this complete fantasy? 9 times out of 10 is complete fantasy. And they need harems to keep their very fragile sense of self going. Remember, it's all other esteem for them. It's not self-esteem. It's other esteem. Tell me how great I am. Show me how great I am. Give me that ego boost that I need. Healthy, normal people. Yeah, it's nice to hear those things, but it's not needed. It's kind of like icing on top of the cake. It's not needed. Cake enough. Cake is itself enough. Icing is nice, but we don't need it, but they need it. So anyway, okay, let's hit the questions. I hope that answered the question about double affairs, why they need a harem, and the lies that they tell, the fantasy, the future faking, the fantasy bond. Oh, it's going to be great. Watch out for all that stuff. Write down what is, not what if. And that's what keeps us stuck, is because we keep wanting to ignore what is, and we keep wanting to go to what if. And we can't do that. And guess who that is running the show? That would be the inner child. So Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor, or any workbook on the inner child. The Disease to Please, Harriet Breaker. Beyond Codependent No More, Melanie Beattie, or Codependent No More, also by Melanie Beattie. And the Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. You've got to get your self-esteem where you know who the heck you are. They can't tell you who they are. And when somebody does a total BS, you're able to go, wait a minute, my gut is screaming at me. Something's not right. Because oftentimes what I see with people coming out of a situation where there's been a double affair, they're cognitive dissonance because the abuser has been telling them lies. And then here's reality. And then it comes all crashing down and they're like, but they told me. Well, yeah, they told you a lot of stuff and none of it was true. So what is, not what if, what is. So those are the lies that they tell to keep us stuck. All right, let's go to the questions. Okay, where are we? Chris, my ex said I was the narcissist and the abuser. Now I'm scared of opening up again. How do I work on that? Okay, if you watched the show I did last week, they throw around terms. They do. And unfortunately, they come onto channels like this and they get just enough information in terms that they then turn around and throw it onto the target of abuse. So very often I have targets sit on my couch. Well, in the old days when I actually did in person, I'm still doing online. Thank you, COVID. So they come in and they're like, oh my God, the abuser said, I'm antisocial. And again, if you want to clear that up, go to the Mayo Clinic, look up antisocial. If you're not setting fires and intentionally breaking laws, you're not antisocial. Oh my God, they said I was a psychopath. Okay, that is technically not in the DSM-5. Why, I have no idea. It is used in legal and in clinical terms, but don't get me started. Anyway, the point being is, if you're not, in trouble with the law, setting fires, kleptomaniac, liking hurting people, and if you're terrified of being any of the things that the narcissist said you were, then you're not that. Okay, let's just be clear. They throw terms around to try to undermine you. So this is why I'm saying self-esteem is a must. Self-esteem is a must. If we know who we are, they cannot manipulate us, because they can lie all they want and your gut's going to be going, red flag, danger, Will Robinson, danger, and you're going to be able to go, that's a load of crap. I'm not buying that. Thanks for playing. Bye-bye. You cannot be manipulated. That's why self-esteem is your best defense against any and all manipulators, liars, abusers, etc., psychopaths, narcissists, malignant borderlines, the whole thing, because you know who you are. Who you are, really. You know what your morals are. You know what your code of ethics are. You know what you like. You know what you dislike. They come in and try to tell us all this stuff, and they try to do cognitive dissonance. They try to basically put a blender in our head and turn it on, chop or whatever the high setting is, and basically get you confused. That's their goal. So if you are working on self-esteem and know who you are, rock solid, sun comes up in the east, you will be bulletproof against these people. They won't even try. They won't even come sniffing around. It's like Susanna and I were talking the other day, and we both said that. It's like, it's so funny because when we were going through the learning about all this stuff, in our own therapies, in our own learning thing, yeah, we would get taken advantage of because we hadn't completed the work. We'd started the work, but we hadn't completed the work. And then once we completed the work, it was like, oh yeah, trolls and narcissists try to come around all the time, or at least they used to. And, and then we're both just like, flick, not buying it, flick. And pretty soon they stop because they know we're not going to buy it. Sorry, go find somebody else, go away, And that's really what it's all about, is making yourself bulletproof so that you can go live your life and be healthy, happy, and whole. Know who you are, have good self-esteem, like yourself, do the mirror work. Hi, good to see you. Have a great day. I give you permission to like yourself, and then walk out. Do that every day. I do that every day. Every time I catch my reflection in a mirror or window, I say something nice to myself. That is part of self-esteem. That is not egotistic. Egoism, narcissism goes, tell me I'm great. Other esteem. Other people need to tell me I'm great. Other people need to bolster me up. That's ego. That's narcissistic. Self-esteem is just you being kind to you and being the parent you always needed, but probably didn't get. So that's what you want to work on, is self-esteem. The Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. So look up the terms. If an abuser is calling you names and you're afraid of it and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to be that. Congratulations, you're not that. Because narcissists don't care. They actually think that these terms are something good because, I can intimidate people. I can frighten people. I can, do X, Y, and Z. So they don't understand that being called a narcissist is no bueno. So there is that. All right. Do female narcissists seek out married men on purpose to destroy their marriage and blackmail them? Well, they can. Now, that's something that I did not talk about, is the blackmail aspect of it. So what narcissists will do, I started to with the talking about sexual stuff. So what narcissists will do is they will encourage their partner to do things that they would not otherwise do, whether that is a partner that's married or just a plain old, single target or whatever. They'll get them to do, they'll tape them having sex. They'll ask them to do orgies or threesomes or things that they would not normally do. And then they'll try to blackmail them with it. Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing. So that's a federal offense. It's called revenge porn. And it's a federal offense, and it will land them in jail for a very long time. So they do. They absolutely do, because they're counting on the fear of the partner's spouse finding out. So they'll videotape it or tape it, or I don't even know what it's called nowadays. In my day, Sonny, in my day, we had VHS, so whatever they're doing to make, movies, they're doing that. And so they'll do that with the hopes that they can then manipulate and control the person that they had the affair with the fear of, oh my gosh, their spouse finding out. So basically, it's like, I hate to say it, and I tell my clients this all the time: if you want to not be manipulated and controlled, you're going to have to tell your spouse that you had an affair, especially if they're trying to use that as blackmail. And will it blow apart the marriage? Yeah, it could. It absolutely could. There's a great book called After the Affair, and I do not know who wrote it. I'll have to look it up, or Johnny, if you could look it up, that would be great. Thanks. It's called After the Affair, and it helps both the person who had the affair and the person who had been cheated on kind of understand what's going on, the unmet needs, the things that need to be worked on, the communication, this, that. Some people take the spouses back. Some people don't, and it's better. Honestly, truth is always the best way, because it's going to come out at some point. And if somebody's trying to use something against you, I would much rather be like, okay, here's the truth. Here's what happened. Great. Now what are you going to use? You know what I'm saying? Because they do. Remember, they're evil. They're antisocial, truly, because that's blackmail, that's extortion. Hello, that's illegal, and they're trying to maintain power and control over somebody by doing that. Yeah, and the smear campaign. I've seen them also send these videos to family and friends. Oh, look what a player he is, or look what a slut she is, or whatever their BS is. You know what I'm saying? And they try to do that for the smear campaign. But then, the question really that needs to be asked is, why are you filming this and sending this to people? Extortion? Yeah. Blackmail? Yeah. Oh, that's a federal offense. Great. Thanks for giving me the evidence I needed to get my restraining order on you and send you to jail. Have a nice day. And by have a nice day, I mean go pound sand. Yeah, they do that. Abso-freaking-lutely. They're, unethical, immoral, evil. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're good. Okay. All right. Is it okay to grieve the fantasy I had of my ex? Yes. Sometimes I feel dumb for crying over it. No, don't feel dumb for crying over it. I miss what I had with him, even though he was a monster. Does that make me dumb? No, sweetheart, it does not. So let's talk about that. When they love bomb us, okay? When they love bomb us, they present themselves as everything we ever wanted in a partner. Funny, sexy, intelligent, kind, caring, empathic, everything. They were mirroring us back to us. So really, we kind of fell in love with ourselves. So that's kind of the good news, bad news kind of thing. Do we grieve the loss of that illusion? Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. It was real to us. It was not real in reality, but it was real to us, and it felt real, which is why their whole selling us a bill of goods is so dangerous, because it feels real. It does. It feels real. No, you are not stupid. Dear God, please stop calling yourself names. Pretty please, sweetheart, darling, do not call yourself names. Everybody here who's ever been fooled by a future figure, raise your hand, and who grieved the loss. Hello? Yeah. In my book, What's Wrong with Your Dad, I talk about my dad, and if only he had been sane, if only he had been a good dad. I miss the fantasy that I had in my head, because remember we talked about this. I said, in my head, I was like, they have to be aliens, aliens, that aliens replaced them, and that they simply didn't know. My dad simply didn't know how to be a human being because he was an alien, and that was how I coped as a little kid. Pretty imaginative. So, and so that's how I made it okay, is that he was an alien. And so when he died, I'm gonna get a little emotional about this. When he died, I had to go back through and comfort that little 4-year-old, 6-year-old, 8-year-old, and really talk her through, honey, he wasn't an alien. He was abusive. He was crazy. He was disordered. He was never, ever, not on this or any other planet, gonna be the dad you wanted and needed. So I'm your parent now. Let me re-raise you. Let me parent you. Let me love you. Let me comfort you. Let me protect you. And let me help you grieve the loss of the parent you wished you had. And it's the same thing when we have a romantic partner. We have to grieve the loss of the romantic partner that we wished we had. It's heartbreaking. It is. And it is a grieving process. And you are absolutely not stupid. Every single one of us here on this channel has been there, done that. That's why we're all here, So you're not stupid, sweetie. Don't ever put yourself down. Don't ever, what's the word I'm looking for? Don't ever allow the abuser's voice to come out of your mouth. You know what I'm saying? You're not stupid. You're not. Loving is not stupid. Loving is not stupid. It's just that we unfortunately got trapped by an abuser in an abusive relationship, and we fell for it. That doesn't make us stupid. And we loved. We loved. And they hated us for it. They want us dead. That's essentially what they want, is they want us dead, either emotionally, spiritually, physically. They want us dead, because they will never feel the depth of love and depth of emotion that we feel. They don't have it. They're incapable of it. So it is a grieving process. So what I would recommend is write a goodbye letter. And you're going to write a goodbye letter to the illusion, but you're going to have to remember, don't get stuck in, oh, but it was so great. And oh, if only. And oh, but when they did this, oh, but back in the love bombing. Don't get stuck in that. You can talk about it for sure. So the good, that would be the good when they mirrored you back to you and all of the things that you thought were great about them. But then you need to go to the bad. When did the devalue and discard start? When did the mask start slipping? And then the ugly. When did they start really doing the abuse? What did they say to you? How did they hurt you? And then the unforgivable, the good, the bad, the ugly, the horrific, or the unforgivable. And you talk about that. And at the very, very end, you tell them goodbye. You're not real. That I wish that would be great, but you're not real. A real human being would never have done X, Y, and Z. Ever. How dare you? How dare you sell me this bill of goods? How dare you pretend that you were this person when you were not? So this is where I cut the cord. This is where I say goodbye. This is it. We're done. You're dead to me. You are dead because you never existed. Goodbye. And you're going to cry, and you're going to be angry, and you're going to be hurt, and you're going to be betrayed, and you're going to be sad, and you're going to be every single emotion you could possibly think of. Then you trot it out to the barbecue, read it out loud once, burn it, or you can keep it to remind yourself that this was an illusion. This was not real. And you may have to do that several times. This is a grieving process. And the hardest death, bunny ears, we will ever grieve is that of a living person that is still walking around, still breathing, still harming other people. But that person that they presented to us never existed, was not real. I mean, it existed with us, but it was not real. They presented what they thought we wanted so that they could hook us and then use us. So you're not stupid, sweetie. Every one of us here has been there and done that, whether it was with a family of origin or with a romantic partner, a friend, a boss. We've all been there, done that. You're in good company. None of us are stupid. You're not stupid. So basically, it's learning to trust our gut and learning to watch for the signs, the warning signs of how they behave. The biggest thing I think that I want to warn people about is the love bombing phase. You know, if they're needing to be with you every waking moment, Houston, there's a problem. If they're love bombing and they love everything that you do, like literally everything, that's a red flag. You know, if they don't have their own friends, their own life, their own this, their own that, that's also a red flag. So I want to talk more about behaviors to watch for next week because we're coming up on Valentine's Day, and boy, the hoovering is coming fast and furious, and the looking for new supply is also coming fast and furious. So I want to talk about behavior. So sweetie, you're not stupid. Please don't ever put yourself down. Promise me you will only say good things about yourself. Okay. Were we gullible? Yeah, we were. But you know what? I would rather feel and have fallen for something like that than to never feel at all. Does that make sense? So wiser, sadder, older. Yeah, for sure. You betcha. I dated my share of narcissists when I was younger. You bet. So, but you know, once we start working on ourselves and once we really start loving ourselves, we don't call ourselves names. And that's where I want you to get. I want you to get to the point where it's like, okay, learning experience, not the most fun, but here's what I learned from it. And no, I'm not a bad person for having this happen. And no, I'm not a bad person for grieving the loss of this illusion. This is what normal, healthy people would do in this situation. We would grieve the loss of that. You know, normal, healthy people probably would not get involved with a narcissist. But again, realize it's a journey. I got involved with narcissists when I was in college and young adult, you know, a couple of them. So, you know, it's a learning process, and it's realizing family of origin. What's going on with that? What groomed me to start dating these types? And then once you realize, okay, I came out of this really abusive relationship. Yeah, I do miss the illusion, but boy, howdy, that's not real. And what comes with that illusion, the cost is too high. You're worth more than that. So self-esteem workbook, Lynn Schiraldi, mirror work, gentle, 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 gentle with you, please. Okay. All right. Next question. Dun, dun, dun. How are we doing on time? Okay. How do I, oldest of 4, and my youngest sister heal from the trauma of discovering through DNA testing that our late mother lied to everyone, including her husband, about who our fathers were? Oh, whew. So they do that. They lie about adoption. They lie about who parents are. They lie about if their lips are moving, they're lying. And it's because they're hiding something. Either they are trying to make themselves look goody goody two shoes. There's I have heard of parents that hid that the kids were adopted until some medical issue came up. And then when the kid was like, hey, I've got this genetic thing and there's nobody in the family that has this, and the doctor is telling me this isn't possible, your family has to have this, what's going on? Finally it came out, and it was just devastating because it was like 56 years later, and it's like, why would you do that to a kid? So don't get me started. So yes, they do that. So how do you heal from that? Boy, that's almost like another topic, but here it is. What in the one case of the adoption, what the girl did is she went and found her birth family. And some of it was great and some of it was not great. So you have to understand that sometimes when we go looking for the bio dads or the bio moms or the bio family, it may or may not be good. A lot of cases it is, but in some cases it's not. So just be prepared if that is the choice that you choose to do. I would get with a really good trauma therapist, both you and your sister, and I would start working this stuff through. It's a betrayal. It's a betrayal. It's basically a betrayal that you were not ever told the truth. When a child gets old enough to kind of understand this, it's important to tell them this, especially if there's health issues that they need to be aware of. Excuse me. Health issues that they need to be aware of. Or if there's, hey, I don't look like my siblings, what's going on? Kids are not stupid, but narcissists always act as if kids are stupid. And they'll do things like talk about the kid in front of the kid, expecting the kid to not listen or to not acknowledge or whatever. So I would get with a good trauma therapist, both you and your sister. I would write and burn angry letters to mom. Dear mom, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell us? Why was this a secret? Why was this, And a lot of times it's this mistaken thought or this mistaken belief that there's shame or something involved if there's multiple, dads, kind of thing. And, we can't tell them. Well, yeah, you can. It's not the 1950s anymore, thank God, So it could be shame involved. That might be the reason why they did it. Or it could be that, the bio dads are maybe not people she wanted you to be involved with. But again, that should be left up to the kid, not to the mom. So, I would get with a therapist and I would start working through. I would write and burn, especially if your mom has passed and there's no, ability to go back and ask her WTF, why'd you do that? Then write and burn and get with a good trauma therapist. That would be my suggestion. Okay, let's see. I was falsely accused of sexual assault 3 years ago by a person with borderline. She left me alone for 3 years, but I am still worried about it and have no money for therapy or legal advice. Any advice? Well, okay. Here's the thing. Abusers will accuse their partners of everything and their dog. Unless there was a police report filed, there's probably nothing that's going to happen. I would speak to an attorney. I would find one of the low-cost attorneys that you could just talk to. Here in Arizona, there is Fresh Start Women's Resource Center and .org, I think it is. And they have attorneys that you can talk to for like 15, 20 bucks. They're all retired. And so they do this as like a volunteer kind of thing. So in your state, ask the state bar, is there a place where there's clinics that you can go ask and find out what you need to do? If they're contacting you again after 3 years, they've accused you of sexual assault, get a restraining order on them. Seriously. If they're contacting you and you've made it clear you want nothing to do with them and they're continuing to contact you, get a restraining order. Because honestly, then if they go and try to say, oh, this sexual assault happened 3 years ago and there's a restraining order on them, they're less likely to automatically assume that they're the victim. Does that make sense? So yeah, abusers do that. Abusers make all these horrible accusations and they use it as a threat. They use it as blackmail. And they do that with financial stuff. They do that with sexual assault charges. They do that with, I'm going to tell everybody that you embezzled, blah, blah, blah. Well, where's your proof? I've seen that happen as well with clients. It's like, the abuser is saying, oh, you stole all this. Well, where's your proof? You can make all the accusations in the world, but if it gets to the point where they are harming your reputation, that's when you can go after them for defamation of character. So yeah, so I would write down everything that has been said or emailed to you. Keep every email, keep every text, and go find a low-cost legal clinic that you can say, hey, this is what happened. This is what this person's doing. How do I protect myself? And go get some legal advice on that. Okay, let me see if there's any more questions. I think that's it. All right, my loves. So next week, what I would like to do is I would like to do behaviors to watch out for, because people need to understand all of these behaviors, especially coming into Valentine's Day. And we're still getting the Hoover season is going fast and furious. So anyway, that is it. So I hope this gave you some clarity about as to the lies that they tell to keep us stuck. So gentle with yourselves, my loves. Gentle with yourselves. Please, please, please speak kindly to you. Speak to you the way you wished a good, kind parent would have spoken to you. So love, understanding, kindness, patience. Gentle, gentle. So, all right, my loves, go have a great week. And next week, we will be talking about behaviors to watch for. All right, guys, be good. And thank you to my sponsor, BetterHelp.com. Go be awesome. I'll talk to you later. Bye.